Welcome to the Do Good Show, where I'm on a mission to share the stories of entrepreneurs and leaders who build businesses with the intent to do good. These are innovative, successful companies creating meaningful impact in the world, proving that purpose and profit can exist together. To start off this first episode, I just want to say a sincere, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening to this. I hope it's really valuable for you. All future episodes will be interviews with people who are actually doing this, real experts with experience running impactful businesses. And I want to start off by saying I am not an expert in this field, but I do feel driven to help those who are share their insights and teach me and anyone who wants to listen. Because it's my personal belief that, one, we all have a stewardship to take care of the world and to take care of those in need. And also, I've developed a strong belief over the past several years that the business world contains some of the most effective tools to do this. And so my goal here is twofold. One, I want to share the inspiration that I've received. And two, I want to empower people who want to make an impact to figure out how. I want to empower them to take action by allowing those who are actually doing this to teach us how they're doing it and teach us the lessons that they've learned. So again, my mission is to share the stories of entrepreneurs and leaders who build businesses with the intent to do good. Now, I certainly believe in the power of nonprofit organizations and NGOs, church organizations, and I'm grateful for anyone who's seeking to do good. But the stories I'm most interested in highlighting are of innovative, successful companies creating meaningful impact. Again, this idea that purpose and profit can exist at the same time. A few helpful reference points as we start this. A lot of people are talking about this, calling it social entrepreneurship. That's a term coined by Bill Drayton, the founder of Ashoka. I've also heard the phrases impact business, mission-based business, mission-driven business. I love what John Elkington calls the triple bottom line, measuring profit, people, and planet. This is certainly related to the idea of sustainability in business, corporate social responsibility, or CSR. I also really like the idea of impact investing. That's venture capitalists who are not only hoping to get a financial return from their investments, but also hoping to see an impact from their funding. Definitely related to benefit corporations or B Corps. Those are all of the phrases and terms and buzzwords. That's the topic that I'm hoping to cover here. All this to say, I didn't invent this idea. I'm not the first person to talk about it. I'm not the only person talking about it right now. And I really hope I'm not the last person to talk about it. But this is a movement that I feel inspired to join and be a part of. And I hope that by sharing the stories of people who are a part of this movement, I can inspire more people to join. So while there's nothing that makes me qualified necessarily to do this, I've been truly inspired. And I want to start today by just sharing the experiences that have inspired me as a hope, again, others can be inspired and as an introduction to the show. The story that I'm going to tell today starts about 6 years ago. I'm going to take you back to when I was in college. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up. I knew that I wanted to do something impactful, but the idea that business was the way to do that was not planted in my mind until I was halfway across the world in rural Tanzania in East Africa. Now, certainly we don't need to go to Africa to make a change. I think we really need to start in our own communities, but there is something about being outside of your routine context that can lead to inspiration, and that's what happened to me. So I had joined this organization that was taking students like myself who were interested in business and interested in making an impact, and essentially consulting with small business owners in rural communities in East Africa. Now, when I say small business owners, really the word I should use is micro business owners. These are people who are just trying to survive. They have some chickens and they're selling the eggs at the market. Or they purchased a motorcycle in order to use it as a motorcycle taxi. Or they have a little shop. But none of them really necessarily see themselves as entrepreneurs or business owners. That being said, that's exactly what they are. And so we were there to just teach a basic business curriculum to them that would help them improve their business. I remember sitting across from one particular business owner, and I was with a group of students. We were teaching through a Swahili translator, and we were teaching a really simple principle. It was something along the lines of how to price your product. It's not about just being at the lowest price to sell as many as possible. It's about maximizing your revenue. And if a certain amount of people are going to buy it at this higher price and your revenue is going to be higher that way, then that's the price you should set. And how to just do a little bit of researching and talking to customers is a simple principle that we were explaining. It was part of this curriculum. And I just saw the light come on in his eyes. He got really excited when he started to think about just how some simple tools could really improve his life. Like, you're talking about people who are living off of a few dollars a day, and if you can help them double that, all of a sudden their quality of living improves greatly. They can now maybe have access to running water or even electricity with these small improvements. So I was really excited at that idea that, man, business can change lives. And that's where this idea was planted in my mind, that business is not just a way to make a lot of money or a way to be successful in life. It's something that can transform someone's life. So I was forever grateful for that experience, really for the mindset shift. It was a total paradigm shift for me as I started to realize the impact that business principles could have. Now, it started there where I realized that business principles could change the lives of a rural business owner in East Africa. But then I came across a book. As I was going back to Africa, I had went back several times. I was talking to some people about it, and someone recommended a book called The Prosperity Paradox. It's by Clayton Christensen and Ifoso Jomo, and Karen Dillon are their co-authors. And this book helped me realize that I had only scratched the surface in my understanding of the impact that business could have. And I still probably have only scratched the surface, which is why I want to talk to more people about this. But in the book, The Prosperity Paradox, they explore a powerful but often overlooked idea that the best way to fight poverty in developing nations isn't through aid or donations, but through innovation, specifically market-creating innovations. They are clear to highlight that in times of disaster, in times of dire need, that it's not wrong to provide aid and make sure that people aren't starving. But if we really want to make a lasting impact, it's this idea of market-creating innovations. So a market-creating innovation is a business that makes a product or service accessible and affordable to people who previously couldn't access it. And they actually talk about how this is one of the key ways that the United States of America rose from a country of poverty to a country of prosperity. They talk about Henry Ford, who made the automobile accessible to everyday people, and how that pulled in infrastructure. The demand for cars pulled in the demand for roads and a demand for fuel and all of these industries that were built around that, and the transformation in the economy that this innovation made. They talk about Isaac Singer, who made the sewing machine accessible, and several others. Definitely go read this book. Really inspiring stories. And then they tell a similar story in South Korea. They tell stories about people who made the cell phone accessible in Africa, and just how powerful that has been in these developing economies, and how they spark economic prosperity from within by creating new markets, pulling in infrastructure, and then empowering people through employment and entrepreneurship. And so after reading this work, I realized that not only could business transform the life of one individual by helping them learn these business principles, but the right types of business and innovation could also transform communities, economies, nations. And this was mind-blowing to me as I started to realize business is powerful. This really is life-changing. It's not just life-changing for one person. It could be life-changing for entire systems of people. And while this was incredibly inspiring to me, I wasn't really sure where to start. And if there's one thing that became clear to me as I was doing this work in Africa, there's people in need in my own community, and I really don't have that much to offer. I don't really have that much business experience or knowledge. That was a shift for me. I decided, okay, I need to focus on learning and gaining my own experience rather than just trying to teach other people. And so that's the journey I'm currently still on right now. I haven't found necessarily my own social impact venture, but I'm working and I'm learning, I'm going to school. And as I've been doing this, I've started to come across a lot of really inspiring stories of different ways that entrepreneurs and business leaders are making an impact. And so this idea that started as a rural business owner in East Africa could completely change their life by understanding business principles grew to, if you want to really help a nation in poverty, market creating innovations that can completely transform economies, to now realizing that there are a myriad of other ways that through business people can make an impact. One story that I came across that was particularly inspiring was the founder of Cotopaxi, Davis Smith, and learning about how he started the business with this central mission to help alleviate poverty in the world. A people-focused benefit corporation that donates 1% of all their net sales to the Cotopaxi Foundation, which then works with organizations who are alleviating poverty throughout the world in various different ways. But they're also focused heavily on taking care of people every step of the way. Their products are sustainable from recycled materials. They focus on making sure their suppliers, manufacturers are well taken care of. They really focus on their people as well. Obviously, COVID was hard for a lot of businesses, and Cotopaxi, being primarily a retail business, was worried that this would be a hard time for them, while a lot of companies were doing mass layoffs and other things to cut costs and prepare. Cotopaxi approached it very differently. Rather than laying people off, they actually proposed that every one of their employees take a small pay cut, and then the executives took a significant pay cut. The best part about this story is Cotopaxi actually did really well during the pandemic. And so that next year, they actually paid back all of their employees through a bonus. And I think that's the key to their business. I remember seeing a post from Davis where he talked about how they opened up a job application and just astronomical number of applicants because they take care of their people, they're mission driven, and he talks about just how good that has been for their business. And for me personally, I own a few of Cotopaxi's products just because I love their mission. And so it really is good for business. So Davis's story inspired me, but there's a ton of others as well. Take Red Knot Racing, for example. These are endurance races around Mount Kilimanjaro, trail running, mountain biking, and this business funds the development work in East Africa. There's Mountain Ops, a sports nutrition company that feeds the hungry. Every order donates one meal to those in need. There's businesses where the product or service itself solves a social issue. Think Gab Wireless, where they're providing safe access to technology for kids, or Recyclops, an innovative way of providing more access to recycling and reducing waste, taking care of our planet. There's another company that sells beauty products in an innovative way that's effective, but they also donate a huge portion of their profits to causes which include efforts to help survivors of child sexual abuse. Or even a company like Bamboo HR. Shout out to them. They don't necessarily have a social mission, but they have a people-first mission, both with their product and with their employees. Their mission to set people free to do great work. Their product is aimed at empowering people in their jobs, but then they treat their employees incredibly well. And the people that I know that work there talk about how it's a real effective, healthy culture. They pay you to go on vacation. They make sure that people have the flexibility they need. And the impact of something like that is huge, right? You think about your job. That's where you spend most of your time. So the impact on your well-being by having a good manager and working for a good place, that's important. That's impactful. So there are a myriad of different ways that businesses are doing good throughout the world that are making a meaningful impact. There are stories to be told of these businesses, these leaders, these entrepreneurs who are doing good. And I believe that those people who are doing that have so much to teach me and the business community about the power at our disposal with the business knowledge and skills that we have. I want to close with just one final thought. I remember in a business ethics class, I don't remember the details, but I remember having a discussion around an ethical dilemma. And I remember hearing a student share their perspective on this ethical dilemma and saying his way of justifying doing something that would put someone out was, it's just business. And that moment has stuck in my brain. In my opinion, business is a vehicle and a force for good. And so saying it's just business as an excuse to do something that harms somebody because it's good for business, I couldn't disagree more. And so I'm on a mission to help tell the stories of leaders who are doing good with business and for them to share the lessons that they've learned. I hope you'll stay tuned. All right, if you got all the way through this episode, again, thank you for listening. I'm sure you just tuned in because you know me or you're being supportive, and I'm very grateful. If you're wondering, I wonder how I could help out Joseph in this project. The biggest thing you could do, aside from sharing this, whether it's liking it wherever you are listening to it, whatever podcast platform, subscribing, listening to future episodes, all of that stuff. Really, the biggest thing you can do to help me is if you know of an example of somebody who's doing good in business that you think would be a good guest on this show, will you please refer them my way? That would really help me out a lot. I think there are so many stories that I haven't heard yet that I would love to hear. So again, if you're wondering how you can help, that's probably the biggest thing. But just the fact that you listen to this, again, thank you so much. I hope you'll stay tuned for future episodes. I'm really excited.